What's up, y'all? This NBA season, don't let an injury rule out your bet. Other sportsbooks let injuries box you out, but FANATICS Sportsbook Fair Play protects all bets from first half injury. So if your player goes down with an injury, FANATICS keeps your bet out on the court. Make the switch and get more ways to win with FANATICS Sportsbook. Winning hits different here.
Welcome to the Knicks Film School Postgame Show presented by FANATICS Sportsbook. It is your boy, Jonathan Macri, here with you on a Sunday night, the last Sunday of November, end of what has been a very interesting month, and we are here now to talk about a very interesting game featuring not only your beloved New York Knicks, our beloved New York Knicks, but also an old friend who has been gone for, I guess, close to 2 years now. I can't believe it's been that long. And for the first time, got to have a little moment at the Garden since he was traded. It was good to see that. But this is not Emmanuel Quickly's night. This is New York's night. And this game was an emotional roller coaster. It'll go down in the annals as one team was on the second night of a back-to-back. Another team was home and playing well, and they coasted to an easy victory. Of course, it was anything but, and I can't wait to get into some of the nuts and bolts of this one because I thought this game had quite a few nuts and bolts that were worthy of a little bit closer examination. Before I get there, though, two very quick birthday shout-outs. Two of the best Knicks fans out there. I know one of them personally. The other one I've had the pleasure of exchanging some Twitter DMs with, and that's about it. But happy birthday, Rebecca Chasen, and happy birthday to Ben Stiller. I don't know which of those two is a better Knicks fan. I think it's probably neck and neck, but just wanted to start off the show with some very nice birthday wishes to the both of them. Okay, let us talk about this game, which was a big game. I know the game lost some of its luster once we found out that RJ Barrett was not going to be playing. I know RJ Barrett has been playing at I don't know if I wouldn't say he's been playing at an all-star level. I think he should get some token all-star consideration if he keeps up all of the numbers that he has and if the Raptors continue winning at the rate that they are. But the Knicks are missing a guy that was playing at a quasi all-star level himself. I mean, I think you could actually argue that OG Anunoby and RJ Barrett were probably playing at about roughly the same level in terms of obviously different players. They mean different things to their teams. So the fact that the Knicks were missing OG, Toronto was missing RJ, I think it was an even battle coming in with the caveat that Toronto was coming off the second night of a back-to-back. But look, that's the way the cookie crumbles. Shit happens. And they're a young team and, it's up to them to get up for the game, and they didn't at the outset, and that, I think, was ultimately the difference. New York starting this one out with Deuce McBride absolutely on fire. There was a stretch where, and Mike Breen corrected himself, he didn't hit 10 three-pointers in a row going back to the last game. It was 9 out of 10, I think, was the highest that he got up to, which is pretty freaking good still. And the Knicks came out and they hit 9 of 14 threes in the first quarter, and they were up by 19 points. It probably could have been even a couple more than that. Toronto went 1 of 8 from 3. And then the game got interesting for a variety of reasons. And I know I usually kind of start these post games off by talking about the player or players that maybe made the biggest impression on me in this game for better, or in a game for better or worse. I'm going to go in a little bit of a different direction with this because I thought what made tonight so interesting is the fact that this was 4 or 5 different games in one. And I think within this one game, you saw all of the different things, both good and bad, that this Knicks team is and that this Knicks team can be. So in the first quarter, you got the Knicks team that we kind of thought we were going to get maybe very early on in the season. A team that pinged the ball around all around the court, generated threes to their heart's content, and hit a lot of those threes because they have a lot of really good shooters on the team, and they defended well enough, and they were just going to have a lot of victories like that. And then in the second quarter, you got a different type of Knicks team. A Knicks team that was a little bit more lackadaisical on the defensive end. As you know, Breen said at the end of the broadcast, they kind of let up. I think it was maybe like, look, Scotty Barnes has attempted over 5 threes in a game coming into tonight twice all season. He finished tonight attempting 7, and he hit his first 4. And the first 3 of those is what brought this down from a 24-point lead, which was the Knicks' high lead, down to 15. And right off, like that happened in the span of like a minute or a minute and a half, whatever it was. It completely changed the complexion of the game because now all of a sudden, the Raptors had a little bit of momentum and they were back in it. It ended up being a 14-0 run, ended by who else? Deuce McBride. I know Deuce didn't have a ton of points after the first quarter. He had those 4 threes to start out. But that one other basket he had over the last 3 quarters was an important one because it ended that run. You always have to have someone there to end a run. And it was Deuce. And that second quarter for me was characterized by, the Raptors got going and the Knicks defense maybe let up a little bit. But the Knicks only scored 18 points. And I thought that was so fascinating because in one quarter, you have a Knicks team that is unstoppable offensively, scores 41, and it felt like they could have scored 45. And then in the second quarter, they scored 18, and it felt almost a little bit like they were fortunate to score 18. The comp that I made at halftime was that the second quarter of this game reminded me a lot of the Orlando Magic game, where the Magic got very physical with the Knicks, and the Knicks did not know how to handle that physicality. And I will mention one player by name here because I'm sure he's going to be a topic of conversation in the postgame. He certainly is when we go through our betting and sweating picks for tonight. And that's Karl-Anthony Towns. So the Raptors did what every team who has one of these guys does, sticks a big wing on Karl-Anthony Towns. It happens to be one of the better defending big wings in the league, at least when it comes to playing this sort of defense, in Scotty Barnes. And Towns was completely neutralized. And when Towns was neutralized, Brunson was out of the game, and the Knicks their offense was stuck in mud. And the threes that they got were okay. They missed some good threes, but look, that's going to happen. They were not able to generate any good offense. And what was the thing that kept them in the game in the second quarter? It was a little bit of a throwback. And we got a lot more of this in the second half, but we saw Mitchell Robinson start to wake up for the first time in seemingly a couple of weeks. Mitch be Mitchy. There was one possession in particular. It was an absolutely insane possession where I think Mitch, it felt like he got 3 offensive rebounds in the same possession. I think it ended with somebody scoring a bucket 54 to make it 54-46. And then of course you saw Josh Hart start to come alive. So I thought it was interesting as the new look Knicks had a little bit of trouble doing what they did in the second quarter. You went back to some old reliables and you kind of maintained some sort of advantage going into the second half. Then second half comes, Emmanuel quickly has his little burst. The lead is down to 3, and it is time. And who is there to rescue the Knicks but the guy who was, I think, pretty comfortably, wasn't a perfect game from him, to be very clear, but I think pretty comfortably the best Knick on the floor tonight, and that was Josh Hart. And Josh Hart ended this game with 20 points, 12 rebounds, 7 assists, 3 steals, and of course, for good measure, 4 turnovers. 5 of those rebounds were of the offensive variety. He was everywhere and anywhere that there was to be. And it was just, I think it was a really interesting quarter for Josh Hart because I think you saw, obviously, some of the stuff that has always made Josh Hart, but you also saw what he can be on this team, in this offense. where it feels like he, for as much leeway as Tom Thibodeau gave him, and Tom Thibodeau gave him a lot of leeway. We know that. I don't want to, Josh Hart was already off to a great career before he ever got traded with the Knicks, but he ascended to another level in terms of league-wide perception once he came here. And I think that was a large part because Tibbs absolutely fell in love with the guy. And it was like those two were a match made in heaven, except they really weren't, because we saw how bad things got last year. And that was because Tibbs loved Josh a little bit too much. Now Mike Brown is here, and Josh is still playing a lot of minutes. Team high 35 minutes tonight. Get used to seeing that for as long as OG Anunoby is out. We did have an OG update. I'll get to that later. But it feels like Josh Hart, it's almost like he's been given a little bit more structure. I don't know if that's just my perception. I don't know if that's just me coming off of this game and feeling like, because, and look, structure does not mean perfection. Structure does not mean you're not still going to get those boneheaded Josh Hart plays, which we got tonight, and some of them hurt. But his ability to operate in this offense like another point guard, in addition to Jalen Brunson, and being given, that leeway, but also, again, leeway within the structure of the larger offense. I mean, you're seeing what he's doing ever since he has become a starter. It's a tiny sample size. It's only 4 games, but he's putting up all-star numbers over the last week and whatever it's been, last 4 games. Is he going to continue at this rate? Probably not. Does it help that he made 4-7 from 3 tonight? Absolutely. But that's another part of it. Knicks hired a shooting coach. I think whatever it is that has gotten into Josh Hart's head, again, this is a guy that would not shoot the basketball at times last year. And he is shooting it with confidence, and that has made all the difference, because I think we may be getting close to the point where we can no longer say when Josh Hart's on the floor, the Knicks are operating, with one fewer floor spacer than they otherwise would be able to operate with. I know Giannis got mad at Bobby Portis for a reckless closeout on Josh Hart in the corner, and that was a big play in the game against the Bucks the other night. Ain't gonna be the last time someone closes out hard on Josh Hart this season. I can promise you that. Especially from the corners, where I just think you have to guard him now. And if he's also taking above the break threes at this rate, and it's not that he always needs to take them, it's that he takes them at times and at least puts that little nugget into a defense's mind, so it makes them approach him being out there a little bit differently, and it opens up all the other sorts of stuff. Obviously, it's opened up his passing, 7 assists tonight. I would not be surprised if he leads the team in assists. But like, if we look at, I don't know if he's going to continue to start when OG comes back, but I would not be surprised on the slightest if for this stretch of games, he is the team leader in assists. So great stuff from Josh Hart in the third quarter. Not to be outdone, I also want to shout out Mikal Bridges, because it was, again, I think for a lot of people, everybody's recognizing Mikal's having a great season. Is it a little bit too quiet for some people? Maybe. He only took 10 shots. You're like, all right, come on, Mikal, shoot it more. But he's just been so steady at both ends. And it was really cool to see, in what was probably my favorite moment of the game, Mikal's steal and dunk. Stealing it, by the way, in the fashion that he has been coming across so many of these stocks over really the entire course of the season, just kind of getting in off the ball. And again, if you're going to talk about what this coach has done, moving Mikal Bridges off the ball defensively, I'm looking at it right now, 2 steals, 2 blocks tonight. It's like clockwork. Every night now, you're getting those numbers. In moving Mikal Bridges off the ball, Benji Ritholtz did a fabulous job in his last 2 grade books for the Knicks Film School Patreon, highlighting how Mikal Bridges, I think he called them, oh my God, I forget that. I'm going to butcher it. I forget but he has a name for them. Like when Mikal comes off the ball and like surprises someone who is either taking a shot or whatever it is, and he generates a turnover out of that. So great stuff from Mikal Bridges. But yeah, Hart, active, shooting threes, the whole thing. And then the fourth quarter ended up being kind of a laugher. But the fourth quarter for me also told a little bit of a story, because what did we get? I think it may have started down the stretch of the third, but they definitely opened the fourth with it. is Mitchell Robinson and Karl-Anthony Towns together. After we did not get 1 minute of those two guys together in the first half, and after we have not seen a ton of those two guys together over the last several games, I will look up the numbers at some point and I'll report back. But like, obviously those guys started the season starting together until it feels like a million years ago now that Mitch was in the starting lineup. But so they would get a decent amount of minutes together. And so to see them back together on the floor at the beginning of the fourth quarter, I was like, interesting spot for Brown to go back to it. But I also got it. Throwing some size against this Raptor team that was playing small all night. And what happened when you threw size at this Raptor team? Mitchell Robinson got every rebound known to man. And if I am taking a big picture takeaway from this game in terms of something that I'm going to put in my back pocket and be like, that's something that matters moving forward, it was Mitchell Robinson looking like Mitchell Robinson for the first time in a while. And I thought he had a couple of defensive moments. Mostly, though, it was just him absolutely dominating on the offensive glass. His timing looked there. He looked a little springier. So all the stuff that you wanted to see from Mitch. And we're going to circle all the way back around to Karl-Anthony Towns. I thought it was interesting that Towns, whether it was on some like garbage plays, picking up a rebound because they were paying so much attention to Mitch and getting a putback, whatever it was, the guy who had the nightmare first half of nightmare first halves ended up being the Knicks' leading scorer in this game. You cannot write that shit. And I thought him playing with Mitch actually helped him. And when then by the way, and the funniest thing of all, Raptors go on like a little mini run. I think maybe it was maybe a 5-0 run or something. And Brown calls timeout because the game wasn't completely put away yet. And what does he do? He takes both of them out. And then he puts Yabo in at the 5, and it helps close the game. The Knicks get a little bit more active on the defensive end. They get a little bit switchier on the defensive end. Obviously, they opened up the floor with more shooting on the floor because Towns is just not really confident from three right now, although he did hit his last attempt from 3, which I thought was important. Nice from the corner, notably. And so Mike Brown, maybe that's the lead story of this game. Maybe the lead story of this game is just Mike Brown. And the fact that through almost 25% of the season, the Knicks have now played 19 games. And after 19 games, they are officially technically tied for second, 2.5 games back of the Pistons, but percentage points ahead of the Raptors. So second place, which is, I think, that's where the over-unders before the season had them as second place team. I know the team that's in first is not the team we expected to be in first. Cleveland, not going so great in Cleveland. But they're like, has it been a perfect Knicks season? No. There's been stuff to get annoyed at all 6 of these losses. But overall, 13-6, like doing a lot of interesting things, doing a lot of nice things. And clearly Mike Brown, unlike the last coach, who obviously I had great affection for, is not afraid to throw a dart every now and then and experiment here or there. Has that experimentation always worked great this season? No. And that's exactly why the last coach didn't do it. Because there like if there was a cognizable downside risk, you weren't going to get it from him. He was going to go, slow and steady wins the race. Well, Mike Brown's not like that. Mike Brown has a different approach. And I think you could argue pretty easily that with a team this talented and with this high of a floor, just by virtue of the talent that they put out there on the court every night, provided decent health, and like they're gonna finish with like, I don't know what the seed is going to be, but it's going to be a pretty good seed. That is the correct approach to this season. It's like, all right, Mitch and Cat, maybe it wasn't working as well as we would have liked to in the starting lineup. Go away from it for a bit. Let's go back to it. Let's see how it is now. Yabusele hasn't started off great. Let's try Yabusele at the 5. Let's see how that goes about his business. Josh Hart starting off the bench, says he wants to have a defined role, the whole thing. Well, you know what? Now we need you in the starting five, and now going pretty well. Let's stay with that. Let's roll with it. So it's a lot of this sort of stuff. And I think, again, my big takeaway from tonight is just you saw, again, a lot of it within this 48 minutes, and it resulted in a really nice win. Shout it out to, it's funny, again, for as nightmare of a game as it felt like he was having, Towns ends up with 22 points on 15 shots. Didn't have a single rebound in the first half, had 8 in the second half alone. Talked about Hart, talked about Bridges, talked about Deuce's start. Jalen Brunson. That's a good place to end. Before I get to Jalen Brunson, Tyler Kolek. I want to shout out Tyler Kolek. He looks very comfortable as a member of this rotation. And more importantly than him looking comfortable as a member of the rotation, Tyler Kolek right now looks confident as a member of this rotation. And I think that is the most important thing for him, because for me, watching him, that's what he lacked. You know, it wasn't ability. Like, you knew the kid had ability. If you paid any attention to any of what people were saying about him coming out of college, you knew the kid had ability. Yeah, sure, there were some questions about whether or not, like, like whether it's a lack of athleticism or lack of speed, like that was going to translate. As far as being a backup point guard, you knew he had the goods to be a backup point guard, but this stuff doesn't always translate, and it wasn't translating for him. And he's playing like a guy who, like, he's making the most of his moment. And he's getting a moment right now, and he's like the 8th man suddenly in their rotation. He's out playing Jordan Clarkson. I know he didn't get as many minutes as Jordan Clarkson tonight. 14 minutes for Kolek, 21 minutes for Clarkson. Talk about a frustrating first half of basketball. But Tyler Kolek, we're gonna have to have a conversation about Tyler Kolek. Maybe not when OG comes back. Like, he could, Brown could go with 10. Brown could go with 9 and mothball Yabo, although I'm not sure I want to see that. I think I'd rather him go with 10, actually, and keep Kolek there. And then, when Shima comes back, we'll see what happens. But good game from Kolek. Jalen Brunson, let me end on him, because Brunson, again, you look at the box score and you say, oh, Jamal Shed must have had him locked up tonight. 18 points, took him 19 shots to get 18 points. Only got to the line 5 times. 7 assists, 2 turnovers. That's fine. Standard Jalen Brunson numbers. I actually want to give Jalen Brunson a hearty compliment. Were there a couple of, moments there in this game where he forced it a little bit? Yeah. But he was so clearly the engine of the offense tonight. And I think even more for me, I think they needed him to be the engine of the offense against a physical Raptors defense that was playing at times tonight. I know they didn't start out this way, but after that first quarter, they were playing with a lot of confidence. They were getting pushy. They were getting physical. They were challenging the refs to call fouls. And I think the Knicks needed Jalen Brunson to take a certain number of possessions by the horns and just go and try to make something happen. And again, I know the line is what it is. I see it. It's 6 for 19. There's only so much lipstick you could put on it. But I thought this was a much more, I don't want to say a better game for Brunson than that line shows, but a more important, positive game for Jalen Brunson. And again, sometimes you throw these numbers in the trash. I don't think him being a team high plus 25 was a misnomer, because when he was not on the floor, it felt like the Knicks didn't know what the hell they were doing and how they were going to get into the basket. I think that's it. I think I hit everything I wanted to hit. Shout out to Emmanuel quickly. Night again. Perfect night, right? For a lot of Knicks fans. 19 points, had a little run, and goes home with a loss. And the Knicks come away with a win. Again, was it the most important win in the world? No. Are the Raptors going to be a threat in the Atlantic Division for the rest of the year? I don't know. Maybe they will. I'm not prepared to say yes or no. But I did think it was important that the Knicks won this game with the Raptors coming off of a back-to-back and just maintain momentum. I mean, all of a sudden, the Knicks have now won 4 in a row. They have some winnable games coming up, although this Boston game I actually forget if the Boston game is the next game they play. We can take 2 seconds here. Look very briefly. So next game is at Boston. They have to go on the road. And then that's tough because that's a road game. And then you're coming back home the very next night against Charlotte. Obviously, Charlotte, not the best team, but anytime you're traveling on a back-to-back situation, it's not, ideal. And then you got Utah at home after a day off, and then you have Orlando at home after another day off, and then there's your in-season tournament. I'd probably sign for 3-1. But is it? Definitely I would sign for 3-1 because they're at Boston and they have Orlando, and then there's that back-to-back. But let's see if they keep it going. Because they're starting to round into form, which is very cool. Speaking of rounding into form, this is going to be my favorite segment of the night. Our betting and sweating segment, presented, of course, by our friends at FANATICS Sportsbook. It's the wrong one. So Mensa, Josh Hart with 2+ steals and a block. That hit because he had 3 steals. Sean with a W had 19.5 Bridges points and assists. Unfortunately, even if you add the assist, he didn't get that. And then Andrew had Deuce McBride 12 or more points. That did hit. So we hit 2 out of 3 on our betting and sweating official picks. That's still not the lead story. Here is the lead story. I am the lead story. You know why? Because I had 5 official picks to make for the video picks that we do before every game. And I hit not 1, not 2, not 3, not 4, but 5. Some of these were pretty easy. Knicks getting 8 points. That was money in the bank. Quickly over 5.5 assists. No RJ Barrett. He's been diming it up recently. I knew I had that one. Hart over 8.5 rebounds. Brunson over 5.5 assists. I think I hit that in the first half. And then my last 2, my home run bet and my best bet. I'm sitting there watching in the first half, and I'm like, oh, my God. How could I give out as a best bet? A best bet. Karl-Anthony Towns to outscore Brandon Ingram when Karl-Anthony Towns can't make a basket to save his life. And then my home run bet, Karl-Anthony Towns high point total for the game. It looked like Karl-Anthony Towns wasn't going to be one of the 10 high scorers of the game at halftime. And that's why you play all 48 minutes, because there it is. At the end of the day, Karl-Anthony Towns with a modest 22 points, but hey, that's all he needed to be the high point man in this game. That was at I thought that was actually plus 305, but Andrew has it down at plus 300. I'll take his word for it. And then Cat to outscore Brandon Ingram minus 125. If you were to play this as a 5-leg parlay, or I guess a six-leg parlay, because the Hart and the Brunson, you'd be eating at Sizzler. Forget tomorrow. You'd be eating at Sizzler for the next month. You just gotta tail me. That's the secret. Just tail me on my picks at the FANATICS Sportsbook app. There you go. All right, let's move on. I'm sure we got some people who want to talk about some stuff. Here we go. Shout out to everybody watching, by the way. Happy Sunday. And belated happy Thanksgiving. Dennis D. Sabato starts us off. Mikal can dunk. Yeah. It really was my favorite moment of the game. It was my favorite moment of the game because this is a guy who, I don't want to say he didn't play with emotion last year. He definitely played with emotion last year. But he wasn't having fun last year. I know that. I know Mikal Bridges did not have a fun year last year. I mean, it was unfortunate. And I don't think it was his fault. And now he's playing with joy. And again, I don't think there's like a real all-star case. Is Mikal Bridges to make all defense? Is that would that be an even money bet right now? I mean, hold on. We'll just look. This is probably not even updated yet, but he's average. Is he leading the league? He's not leading the league in steals. He's one of 6 players who are averaging at least 2 steals a game. But I will note that's actually a bullshit stat because Kawhi has only played 10 games. Jalen Williams of the Thunder has only played 1 game. And Matisse Thybulle has only played 4 games. So in terms of guys who have actually played games, Mikal Bridges is one of 3 players in the league to be averaging at least 2 steals a game, and he got 2 tonight, so that average is going to stay. And the other 2 guys, Dyson Daniels and Cason Wallace. Now, Dyson Daniels and Cason Wallace are widely considered 2 of the best perimeter defenders in the NBA. Mikal Bridges used to be until last year. And then, but here's the thing. Cason Wallace, 2.3 steals, 0.3 blocks. Dyson Daniels, 2.2 steals, 0.4 blocks. Mikal Bridges, 2.1 steals, 1.2 blocks. There are some guys, notably, Victor Wembanyama, who are putting up some insane block stats. So Mikal is not leading the league in stocks. Walker Kessler's done for the year. Sorry, pour one out for Walker Kessler. But actually, he might be second to Wemby. Scotty Barnes is at 1.6 blocks, 1.5 steals. So he's at 3.1. Mikal Bridges is at 3 is over that. Yeah, let me just double check here. I'm making sure I'm not missing anybody. Anthony Davis is kind of up there, but he's below Bridges. Yeah, Mikal Bridges is currently second in basketball in stocks to Victor fucking Wembanyama. I know I'm sorry, I'm going off on this defensive tangent with Mikal Bridges off of a comment talking about how he can dunk. I'm so thankful to stick with the theme of the weekend that we're getting this version of Mikal Bridges after, last year and all the conversation about the picks and all that shit. So again, second to Wemby in stocks per game, and in total stocks, he's probably ahead of Wemby now because he's played so many more games. So not bad. Next up, Colin Reardon. What's going on, Colin? If you squint hard enough, Hart is just modern MJ. I mean, he's Josh Hart, man. There's a reason why. There's a reason why the people that defend Josh Hart defend him as vociferously as they do. Because when you combine real talent and real skill with that sort of effort, you're going to get people who are going to ride or die with you. And Hart has his fair share of ride or dies, as he should, because he is like a quintessential Knick. And, I always think of these silly rankings sometimes when I'm doing post-game shows. And I just thought of if we were to rank the Knicks that we would be happiest for if they won a championship, how high would Josh Hart rank? I mean, Jalen Brunson be number 1 for me because of my favorite Knick, and Josh Hart would be probably number 2, probably because he's my second favorite Knick. But just to see that guy get rewarded for everything that he puts out on the court would be really awesome. Mike Brown quote here credits Mitchell Robinson, or credits the Knicks in general for their work on the offensive glass. I should note 25 offensive rebounds for the Knicks tonight. I believe Breen said at the end of the broadcast that was their most since 2019. So pretty good. And then obviously, or not obviously, because I didn't say it, Mitchell Robinson, defensive player of the game for the Knicks tonight. He was awesome. Thanks, Colin. Drew P. What's going on, Drew? Considering his on-offs, this portion of the season is about figuring out the non-OG minutes. A lot to like. Is the Josh Jumper real? Yabu and Kolek solid. Yeah, I thought Yabu was okay. Thought Yabu was okay tonight. It's getting there. It's getting there. It's getting there. One little bit at a time. It'll get there. I'm actually not, oddly not worried about Yabu. Not saying I'm sure that Yabu is gonna, have a, be great before the end of the season, but I think I've seen enough. I've seen enough to be cool with it. And then figuring out the non-OG minutes. I mean, yeah, there's a lot to like. They've won. I mean, how many games has OG Anunoby missed? I mean, he's missed 5 or 6 games. They've won most of them. And I think the biggest. I mean, here's the question: What's been the biggest, most impressive part of it? I'll go twofold. I think no OG has opened up opportunity for Josh Hart to kind of go back to reach this level. and they don't have OG Anunoby shooting those corner threes. So now Josh Hart has to shoot more threes, and he's hitting them, and hopefully that's the shooting confidence. And then just defensively, they know they don't have OG to rely on anymore. So I think everybody's stepping up. And I mean, look, again, the Raptors, I never believed that their offense was whatever the fuck it was, ranked 5th or 6th as of like 2 or 3 games ago. I never believed that was their offense because I just didn't believe in the shooting. They were the 3rd most efficient team, I think, before the Hornets game in the entire league. And I knew that was going to come down. Maybe it'll stabilize, but this has been a good offense all year long, and they completely shut them down. I know they didn't have RJ Barrett tonight. RJ Barrett, all kidding aside, has been a massively important part of Toronto's offense and their approach, and activates the drive game and the whole thing, collapses the defense. He's playing the best basketball of his career. I still think it's notable that they held this team to, what do they hold them to? 94 points? And that was on a night where, I thought the Raptors had, look, the Raptors' best player is Scotty Barnes. The Knicks did not have anybody to guard, quote unquote, Scotty Barnes. Like, Scotty Barnes was held tonight to 7 of 17 shooting. He scored 18 points on 17 shots, and that's with hitting 4 for 7 from 3, which I'm fairly certain is his best shooting performance of the season from beyond the arc. So the fact that the Knicks, and Josh Hart deserves a shout out here because he got the Barnes assignment. The fact that the Knicks were able to hold Barnes to that and hold, again, the Raptors to 94 points, I think that's a real impressive thing. Now when OG comes back, there just can't be any let up. And I'll say it. It should be a scary thought for the rest of the league that the Knicks are reaching this level with OG on the shelf. And I said I was going to mention it before. I'll mention it now. News before the game for anybody who missed it. OG Anunoby doing 3-on-3, doing, what did they say? Controlled contact. I forget what it was, but like they're working him back. Is he going to be ready for the in-season tournament? Or whatever the cup games, whatever the fuck it is. I don't know, but hopefully he gets back soon. Thanks, Drew. Anthony Sixto, what's going on, Anthony? Prediction. I love predictions. We will be playing and getting the number 1 seed on January 5th. Injuries and bumps that come with the new coach system. Knicks are in damn good shape. Do they play Detroit on January 5th? I'm assuming that's when they play Detroit. I think they do play Detroit January 5th. Yes, that's the Detroit game. It's a Peacock game. Maybe. I mean, we could look at the East really quick. So Pistons, the Knicks are 2.5 back of the Pistons, 2 back in the loss column. Pistons have lost, they won their last game. They had lost a couple in a row before that. Knicks are technically tied with the Raptors in the standings. Then you got the Heat, a half game back, 13-7. Tough loss. I don't say tough loss for the Heat the last game they played, but they were down by a bunch and they came back. I think the Heat are good. Hawks are currently in double overtime, which I'm trying to get this freaking game on my TV, and I don't know why I can't get it on. Yeah, they're in double overtime right now, and for some reason the NBA app sucks. That's why I put it on resume, not watch live. Anyway, so we'll see if the Hawks get a win. The Magic are coming; they're 12-8, and the Cavs 12-9, lost 3 in a row. They have Mobley, Garland, and Mitchell tonight, and they were like down. I looked up at one point; they were down like 16 or 18 points at home against the Boston Celtics. Boston's 11-9, Philly's 10-8. So one of Philly or Atlanta will lose tonight. So there's really 9 teams in the East, and the Bucks will start getting things going, but they're 3 under 500. So here's the only thing with the Knicks. If any, like all of those teams that I just mentioned, Toronto, Miami, Atlanta, Magic, Orlando, Cleveland, Philly, maybe not Philly because they're just health, and Boston, like any of those teams are capable of going on a little run. I'm not sure who I would bet on any of them to go on a real run. So it really is just Detroit. is Detroit going to come back and fall back to earth a little bit? You know, if you trust point differential, the Knicks have a much better point differential than the Pistons. I have a lot of respect for how the Pistons came out and are playing basketball this year. I think they just are a little bit surer of who they are on both ends of the floor, which is not to say that they are better on either end. You know, maybe they're better defensively, certainly not better offensively, but they're just more sure of who they are and how they go about their business. But the Knicks, like, never for a second this season, with Detroit starting out how they were and the Knicks maybe having some iffy moments, did I think that Detroit had a higher ceiling than the Knicks this season, nor did I think if the Knicks played their game, they wouldn't beat the Pistons in a playoff series. So, yeah, we'll see. Thanks, Anthony. Got to stay healthy. Next up, Dom Cappuccini. What's going on, Dom? Rest in peace, OG Mario. Yeah, I saw that. I think big Knicks Twitter individual. So absolutely rest in peace to him. I hope his family was really proud of the tribute and of the team's performance. What a win and a week to build off of. Let's go Knicks. Very nicely said, Dom. Appreciate you saying that. And yeah, great win, great week to build off of. Did I pick 4-0 this week? Yeah, I don't know if I picked 4. I hope I picked 4-0. I think Jeremy picked 3-1. I hope I picked 4-0. I am AK Legend. Deuce. Also, keep it up, Kolek. Good win. Yeah. No disagreement. Deuce McBride's been playing out of his mind. I mean, I was texting with some fellow Knicks fans earlier tonight about what does Mike Brown do when OG is healthy again. And there were multiple suggestions that he should kind of, go with whatever the matchup is. Like if the matchup dictates maybe Deuce is better off starting, start Deuce. If the matchup dictates that Josh Hart is better off starting, start Josh Hart. I'd be fine with that. I think that there's an argument that that's the best way to go. I'd love it if they had. Maybe this is just me as a fan because I don't like uncertainty. As a fan, I just don't like uncertainty as a person. I'd love to get in a rhythm where we have that steady, sturdy starting five. Did not mean to start off with 3 straight ST words. And then a very defined, okay, there's a 6-man, and then here's the role that the 6-man plays, and then here are the backup units. I picked 2 and 2. Shit. That's annoying. Damn it. You chicken shit, Macri. Anyway. Yeah. So I don't know. Again, just me as a person, I would like him to kind of stick with a starting 5, although I admit it would probably be best for the team if he was flexible. I just got done talking about how Mike Brown's different sort of cat and flexibility is part of his bag. If I had to guess right now, I would guess that he would stick with Josh Hart as a starter. And this is going to sound insane. I don't know how I feel about that. There is a part of me that thinks that this team is maybe better off starting Deuce. Which is not a reflection at all of Josh Hart as a player. I think Josh Hart as a player is I don't want to say better than Deuce McBride, but I think he can bring more different important things. But I'm trying to think what's the best starting 5 for this group. I don't know. And Mitch, by the way, if Mitch starts playing good again, he should be given consideration once again for spot starts here and there in certain matchups. So we'll see. Thanks, I am AK Legend. Kevin Danishevsky. I know the Raptors are probably fake. I don't know about that. Come on. They're good. Like I said, you were like me sitting there worried at different times tonight. And we're missing RJ Pirtle. That's another. We should also. That's a bad job by me. I forgot to mention they didn't have Pirtle tonight. Good job by you. But their net rating has been fantastic. Can Mikal Bridges make an all-star push? I think so. I already said it. I don't think he could do that. I think you got to hang your hat on all defense. I think if you're getting something from Mikal, I think you're getting all defense. Right now, if you force me to guess, I got to tell you, I think there's a possibility the Knicks only get one All-Star, even if they are in first place. Cat has to pick it up. I just don't think they're going to. I don't think you could say that Cat right now is going to be an automatic All-Star with what the numbers are. Now, maybe the fans, help get him over the hump, but like, are coaches really going to give him a lot of consideration? Maybe, I don't know. Maybe they will, because there's not a lot of front court strength in the East, but I don't know. I get the reason I'm thinking F Cat here is like, are they really going to are they going to give New York 3 All-Stars? I don't see it. And then the next question is, are they really going to say that Mikal Bridges deserves to be an All-Star over Karl-Anthony Towns? Again, we could sit here and say undisputably, and I don't think anyone would dispute this. I don't think Cat would dispute this, that Mikal Bridges has been the better player this season. I just don't, something about that one doesn't pass the smell test for me. But I don't know. Thanks, Kev. Kevin with another one. 11-3 November. I did not realize that. That's great. That's a great job by the Knicks. 11-3 in November? Yeah, that's right, because they started the season 2-3. Shit. How about that? Happy IQ did well in the loss, my guy. Yeah, no, I know you love IQ like a lot of people, and I'm sure you weren't the only one happy to see that tonight. Dom with another one. Thanks, Hart, for helping New York to save the fans from an IQ nightmare. Let's go Knicks. I got to tell you, even when the league got down to 3, I did not think they were going to lose the game. I didn't think that I was like, I don't know if I ever thought the Raptors' momentum was real. I thought it was more just the Knicks not doing some stuff, and I thought end of the day that the Knicks would figure out what they had to figure out tonight, and they would put it together. So I can't say I was worried, but that would have been, listen, if Quickly led the freaking Raptors to a win after being down by 24 points, all the good vibes shit that we're talking about right now, the 11-3 November, second place in the East, yada, yada, yada. Oh, my God, you would have flushed all that right down the toilet in a heartbeat. Thanks, Tom. Paul McFairline, what's going on, Paul? Hart and Bridges single-handedly turned this game from a tight one into a laugher. If Hart can just be a 38% shooter, this team will be unstoppable. Well, I mean, that's what he's at right now, I think. I'll double check it right now. I don't know if so. Coming into this game, this is 18 games played, so this is not inclusive of tonight. Coming into this game on 3.5 attempts per game, Josh Hart was at 35.6%. He was 4 of 7 tonight. Hold on, we could do some very quick math. 20. So he is 29 of, what did I say? No, he's 4-7 tonight. He was 29. He is now 29 of 73 for the season, which is 30. He's a 40% 3-point shooter right now. That's wild. A 40% 3-point shooter on and the average is a little bit deceptive because don't forget he hasn't been playing a ton of minutes. He's attempting, where is this? Actually, after tonight, he might be close to 5 threes per 36 minutes. I think I did that math right. No, maybe he is at 30. I don't know. They're telling me it's 38%. I don't know. My math might have been wrong. I should learn how to use a calculator. Whatever. Whether he's 38% or he's 40%, the fact that it's coming on for more than 4.5 threes per 36 minutes, that number is almost as important, if not more important, than the make rate. Because you need the volume. If you don't have the volume, the percentage doesn't matter. And right now you have both. So that's great stuff. And yeah, I completely agree that they rescued this game in the third quarter. 100%. Thanks, Paul. Oh, music in my pocket. This is incredibly generous. Thank you so much, man. Really. on a Sunday night, you're giving some thanks to your boys at KFS. We appreciate it. The unfortunate thing about Karl, oh boy, it's a Karl chat, is that he doesn't seem to have that dog in him. Dog in quotes, I should say. Not spelled D-A-W-G, spelled D-O-G. When the game isn't going his way, he gets this hangdog look and completely shrinks. If the season ends poorly, I need Leon to explore all options regarding this player. So let me say a few things. Number one, what you're talking about with Cat has been the book on Cat since he came into the league. This has been the life of Timberwolves fans, or this was the life of Timberwolves fans for the first 8 years of Karl-Anthony Towns' career. People in Minnesota are generally kinder, sorry, but they are, than us assholes here in New York. So it was perhaps phrased differently. And I think for them, the fact that he became such a beloved member of the community and embraced the community so much at a certain point after however many years, the fact that he maybe didn't live up to the expectations that came with him when he was drafted, in large part because of the sort of things you're talking about. They started to really kind of look past that and just kind of embrace the fact that, look, this is Karl, and we're going to choose to accentuate the positive, and we're not going to bury our heads with the negative, but we're going to look on the bright side. We don't have 8 years of history with him, and we don't have like that part of him embrace. Like, obviously he embraces New York because he's from New York, but that's not going to get him in Knicks fans' good graces. So the stuff that you're talking about, I think this season, far more than last season, because last season, there were other, like, he did some of this stuff last year, but I think his offense was so overwhelming, and I think there were other scapegoats last season, so you didn't get as much of this. The stuff that he's doing now, he did last season. I'm not saying you're suggesting he didn't, but it's really, you're hearing about it more because A, he's struggling offensively, and B, there's no one else. There's no other obvious person to point to. Mike Brown could do no wrong. Brunson's been Brunson. McCall's been awesome. Hart's been awesome. OG, when he was healthy, was awesome. Deuce has been awesome. So it's like it falls on Cat. The reason why I'm kind of going on a little bit about this is because and I do this. What you're saying, I've said versions of this probably a dozen times, if not more, over the last year and a half or year and whatever. Said it a number of times in the playoffs. What I will say is twofold. One, this sort of stuff from Cat, I'll say three things. Number one, this sort of stuff from Cat does not mean he can't be an incredibly effective and helpful player in big games, to which I will point directly to the playoffs last year. Were his playoffs perfect? No, they were not. Did he have some truly like abysmal moments that made you want to pull your hair out? Yes. Did he win them games? Oh, did he ever? And they were some big, big, big games. And did he hit some big, big shots? And had some big defensive performances. That's number one. Number two, I think he is, I don't know if I want to say he's aware, but like this is all out in the open now. So like, I don't think this is catching anybody by surprise within the team. I think they know who Karl is. I think they know the ways in which Karl, like they need to kind of get Cat going. And I think that can only be a positive. So that's number two, which again, I say that as to encourage some positivity here. And then number three, I got to tell you, I did not hate Cat's game tonight. Did I not like the fact that he was missing bunnies and he couldn't hit find the range from three for his first three attempts, and he had one silly offensive foul? Yeah, I didn't like any of that. But I actually am going to push back on you, and I don't think that your sentiment here is an appropriate comment for this game. In that, look, I'm not going to say he didn't have those moments where he has kind of that hangdog look, but I didn't think that he let it impact his play. And maybe that's just me being overly kind to someone that I have been overly critical of in the past, recently. But for me, when Cat lets the bad stuff impact him to such a degree that he is being actively detrimental to his team. That's what I mind. I did not feel that ever happened tonight. I thought his process was good. I thought his shot attempts were good. I thought the times where he tried to drive, I thought they were good drives. I thought it was important for him to try to drive the basketball and get something going inside because the shot wasn't there from the outside. I thought he had some really good looks that he just missed. And again, we're sitting here and we're talking about a player who's 8 of 15 and scored 22 points. So it's not like he had an abysmal game. You know, the 0 rebounds in the first half, that sucked. That's not okay. You can't be 7 feet tall and be a starting center on a team and have 0 rebounds and a half. That's not okay at all. So again, I'm like lightly pushing back on you here, but I don't know. Maybe it's just because I'm just in a good mood, but I am trying to find the positives. And this is to say nothing of the fact that despite all of this stuff that you're talking about, when he is out there, everything changes for this offense. Everything. It just makes everybody's life so much easier. So, look, if they don't win a championship this year, are they going to explore a big shakeup? Yeah, of course they are. Is it probably going to involve Karl-Anthony Towns? Yes. Are they going to go try to get Giannis? Abso-fucking-lutely. That's duh. You know? Are they going to be able to? I don't know. Will they trade Karl somewhere else if they can't get Giannis? Maybe, maybe not. Depends. I don't know. See who else is out there. But we'll have that conversation a different day. Look, I think they made that trade with their eyes open. I know there's been a lot of talk about that this season, but it's not like Leon Rose or William Wesley or Brock Aller or anybody over in that front office thought that the second that he put on a Knicks uniform, Karl Towns was going to magically lose all the crazy qualities that prevent him from being a top 5 player in the league. You know, that was always part of the package, which is why you got him for what you got him for. No disrespect to Julius Randle and Dante DiVincenzo and Joan Berenger. I'm always just going to intentionally mispronounce that guy's name. I don't really care. Thank you again, Music in My Pocket. I totally get where you're coming from. I'm giving you a little bit of a shit, but I'm trying to be, again, positive. All right, Kev, let's do one more, and then we'll do the stat of the night after that. Greg Film Stuff, another generous super chat here. Thank you, Greg. Right on cue. Gotta applaud Cat for sticking with it, rebounding and staying aggressive despite a tough first half. See, this is where I'm at. Tonight, at least, this is where I'm at. I didn't like how dependent our offense was on the 3 ball in the second quarter. Need balance. Good win. I want to see Kolek attack more. Yeah, you know, I thought he have one. He had some drives. Did he ever? Let me pull up his shot chart right now, actually, because maybe he didn't attempt a shot on a drive tonight. I'll take you're probably right on that one. But I felt like he drove the lane and at the very least made some nice passes out of those drives. So he was 2 of 6. He had 4. Okay, he had 4 attempts in the restricted area, or at least that's what the shot chart looks like. And he was 2 of 2. He missed both of his threes. Yeah, in general, I completely agree with you. I feel like I'm seeing more positives with Kolek where that is concerned. And then as far as the offense being dependent on the 3 ball, I just think when Brunson's out of the game, and he was out of the game for whatever it was, the first however many minutes of the second quarter, I just don't know. Like if Brunson's not in the game and they're not hitting threes, and Cat, you know, not to go back on what I just like kind of was saying, but if Cat can't make hay individually against a tough defender like Barnes, I just don't think this offense is cut out to do much, which is why you get Clarkson in there during those minutes to try to do something, and that doesn't always, you know, go well. So yeah, it's not ideal, but it's, you know, we're talking about this is going to be like 10 minutes a game in the playoffs. So how do but you're going to have to solve those 10 minutes because they're going to be an important 10 minutes. Anyway, thanks, Greg. Great comment there. Okay, we're into our stat of the night, courtesy of my guy, Jonah Kaufman. Shout out to Jonah. Stat of the night, 15, as in 15 rebounds for Mitchell Robinson. This marks a new season high in rebounds for Mitch. Was this a season high? Hold on, I gotta pull this up. Mitchell Robinson rebounds this season. Was this a season? I feel like he had that'd be crazy if this was a season high. Wow. His previous season high in rebounds this year was only 11. That's wild. You know why that's crazy to me? Serves me right to doubt Jonah, because I'm thinking of the games where he had these crazy offensive rebound games, but he didn't have great rebound totals in those games. Like the game he had 9 offensive rebounds, he only had 10 rebounds total. The game he had 8 offensive rebounds, he only had 10 rebounds total. 6 offensive rebounds, 11 rebounds total. Damn, so this was a season high by a lot. Good stuff, Jonah. Good catch. This was the 22nd time in 349 regular season games he had at least 15. It's about 6.3%. He also hit this number in only 17 minutes of gameplay, making this the most rebounds per minute for any player in any game so far this season with at least 5 rebounds. That is a great fucking stat. Great job, Jonah. Nice job. We got it. Well done. I'm liking these. All right. That was our stat of the game. Still looking for a sponsor. If anybody else there wants to sponsor the stat of the game, maybe Texas Instruments. Are they still around making calculators? I don't know. Stevens Guillaume, what's going on, Stevens? Mikal Bridges, first team all defense. I mean, at this rate, how nuts is it really? So the only things that are gonna, there's two. I mentioned these before, but I'll say them again because I think it's just the only things that are gonna hold him back. The two things that are gonna hold him back is if he doesn't have outstanding defensive on-off numbers to point to. And right now, the team's overall defensive rating is 113.1. With Mikal Bridges on the court, they're actually giving up 115 points per 100 possessions. When Mikal is off the court, they're giving up 105.5. So he might actually have, so he has like really poor defensive on-offs. I don't think that's indicative of him. I think that's indicative of the fact that he plays a lot with Jalen Brunson, and Jalen Brunson's defensive on-offs are or defensive, or he can struggle, Brunson, obviously, defensively. And the other part is, I don't know if the Knicks as a team are just going to finish high enough in the defensive rating rankings for them, for voters to look at them and be like, man, the Knicks defense, we got to, they deserve an all defense guy. And like, they have an obvious candidate in Bridges. The Knicks right now are 12th in defense, which is pretty good, but they're within a point per 100. They're actually within 0.7 points per 100 possessions from being an 8th defensively. So they're like knocking on the door, but they got some tough ones coming up. The Celtics are the 4th best offense in the league. The Knicks have the Celtics, obviously, is the next game. Orlando is the 8th best offense in the league. They have Orlando before the in-season tournament. Who else do they have? They have Utah. I know Utah's offense is not rated high, but they could put up points. So if they could hang around the outskirts of the top 10 going into the in-season tournament, that's a great sign. But yeah, all defense, I'll give you all defense first team. I don't know if we're getting that. Thanks, Stevens. Appreciate that. Wondering Tumnus. Hello, Wondering. Congratulations again on your chat of the night win the other night. This one felt like the fruits of the Mike Brown era. Great minds think alike, clearly. JB Cat didn't have A games, no OG, but Deuce, Josh, and Mikal are all in roles now with confidence to succeed. Very well said. Yeah, I mean, I look, I think it's not an overstatement to say that this team is still going to go as far as Jalen Brunson and Karl-Anthony Towns will take them. It does not mean that they are not capable of having off nights and still get an important win. And this is where I'll actually give I absolutely shout out Mike Brown, 100% shout out Mike Brown. I think this is where you got to give a shout out to Leon Rose, because the play here, because he was never he knew, I think, probably if I had to bet, I think Leon Rose knew early on he was never going to be able to get the traditional top two. Your top two classic shot creators, in the Jokic Murray mold, or in the obviously Steph KD's. I'm not even going to mention them, but Tatum and Brown mold, or trying to think of other, or Shea and J-Dub, So was this always the plan? I don't know, but I would guess that it was, where it's like, okay, so we're just going to assemble the most top end talent that we can, with the caveat that we're only going to have one guy who fits that traditional mold. And oh, by the way, that guy's going to be a 6'0" point guard who can't jump very high or run very fast. And I think now, and the fact that, and look, we'll never know the true story behind why Tom Thibodeau really got fired. I doubt that it's ever going to really come out. But the biggest critique on him for me was always this. And I said it how many different times and how many different ways last year. You had all this talent, and yet it felt so fucking underwhelming, where you never got the performances that the talent seemed to dictate you should be getting. It was always that the whole was less than the sum of the parts, not the other way around. Well, now, especially on a night like tonight, the whole is greater than the sum of the parts. And that's what it should be. And you know what? When OG comes back, in theory, it should get even better. But one more mouth to feed, and we know how this stuff goes sometimes. So, you're shouting Mike Brown out. I think Mike Brown's going to be very happy to get OG Anunoby back, to be very clear. But it's been the thing that's been in the back of my mind for a while now. Can everybody be happy? Because, and I'm not even saying that guys like demand a certain amount of shots. It's just these are all really high level players. Any one of these, I mean, Brunson and Towns for sure, but Hart, Bridges, OG, any one of those guys, if they were in a certain situation, maybe even this situation, they can and should be considered top 35 to 40 NBA players. You can't have five guys on the same team that are all going to be considered, are all going to put up stats and play consistently like top 40 NBA players, unless you are the fucking Thunder and you don't lose games. So I feel like I'm rambling a little bit here, but I hope I'm making my point clear, because I really do think that this is, as much as it is an opportunity and as much as it is a great job by Leon and a great job so far by Mike Brown, I think this is still going to be the challenge. And, so far so good, but we'll see how it goes. Thanks, Wondering Thumbness. Music in my pocket with another one. DiVincenzo on this team would be so much fun. It makes my heart hurt. Come home, Italian Stallion. I'm sure he'd love to come home. I'm sure the Knicks will try to get him back home again. I'm sure Jalen Brunson and Josh Hart and Mikal Bridges would love nothing more than Dante DiVincenzo playing on this team once again. Unfortunately, I don't know how that's going to happen anytime soon, but you never know. You never know. I will say this. There were times over the last year and change I thought they needed DiVincenzo back. I don't know that I feel right now that they need. Emphasis on need. Would I want DiVincenzo? Yes. Could they benefit from DiVincenzo? Absolutely. Do they need Dante DiVincenzo? Does this team need him? I don't know the answer to that question. Quick Bridges from SNY. Mikal Bridges critiques his individual defense on Brandon Ingram. I fouled him a lot. He scored a couple buckets on me. I don't think it was the best defense, but, and then Deuce McBride in the background says, "You did great, Mikal." And Bridges says, "Thanks, Deuce. Thanks, man." That's nice. That's sweet. That's very sweet. Okay. Thanks, music in my pocket. New York or nowhere, 4431. Can we trade Yabu for Mamu? Deuce, #1 contract in the NBA. I look, Yabu's coming around. Keep the faith on Yabu. Deuce, #1 contract in the NBA. I think Nikola Jokic is the #1 contract in the NBA because that guy's worth about, I don't know, $500 million to have on your basketball team. I don't know what the number is, but it's a lot of many millions of dollars. So he is very underpaid. As far as like non-max guys, I think Deuce has been in that conversation for a while. Yeah, I don't know. In terms of like non-max players, he's definitely in the top 5. I'll give him that. I think he's in the top 5. Thanks, New York or Nowhere. As is Dante DiVincenzo, in fairness. Adam, Cat driving me nuts. Contract too big for what we get. I mean, this season, yeah. This season, absolutely. Karl-Anthony Towns is underwhelmed this season. Karl-Anthony Towns has not had a good year. And I think you have two choices. You can get driven nuts, which, like, trust me, Adam, he drives me nuts sometimes. I promise you, he drives me nuts sometimes. Or you can accept and embrace the fact that he is not going anywhere this year and that he is not an easy player to trade. There is no obvious Karl-Anthony Towns trade out there anywhere. Trust me, I've looked. Doesn't exist for a player with his unique skill set, what he brings to the team, how much his next extension might be, and for most importantly, what the Knicks would need back in return for Karl-Anthony Towns to make the trade worth it for them. There just is no perfect trade. If they don't, like I said to the other super chatter, if they don't win a championship this year, they will certainly call Milwaukee and they will say, here, take Karl and every other thing we have to offer in terms of picks and, I don't know, maybe Deuce. And, but it's going to be mostly picks. And we'll see if Giannis has that sort of, has it in him to be we'll see if Giannis has it in him to be as much of a bully off the court as he is on the court. I don't know that he does. And if he doesn't, he's not going to be a Knick. So that's up to him, how much he wants to make that situation messy. We may not even come to that. The Knicks may win a championship this year. And if the Knicks win a championship this year, guess what? They don't have to trade for Giannis. So we'll see. One way or another, the situation will come to a head with Karl-Anthony Towns. Armand. Shout out to Armand. Let me read his chat. Great night at the game. My son had a ball. I believe this is Armand's son's first game. Met Sean with a W, my NBA Takedown co-host and also host of many shows right here on the Knicks Film School Podcast Network. My positivity gave us a win. Great seats. Thank you, KFS. So for anybody who doesn't know what Armand's talking about, we debuted this really awesome thing before the season or right at the start of the season, maybe at the start of the preseason. So it's been less than 2 months as I'm seeing New York basketball Twitter account tweeted a picture of Rachel Zegler courtside. Rachel Zegler, she's progressing nicely. Whoever took a chance on that prospect is sure very high on their decision. Anyway, so yeah, chatnix.com. We debuted the app or our presence on the app a couple of months ago, and it's been awesome. And we have, I'll look right now. I think we're over 450 members. There's constant conversation going on in there. And the fine folks at the app that hosts chatnix.com were kind enough to do this ticket giveaway. And lo and behold, Armin was not the first winner. He wasn't even the second winner. He was the third winner because the first person couldn't take the tickets and the second person didn't respond. But he won the tickets to today's game, again, courtesy of our friends at ChatBCC. And yeah, everybody who's not on our chat app, go and just go to chatnix.com, download the app, and come come hang out and talk hoops with us. We're doing it every day. We're doing it throughout the games. I'm always in there. Other Knicks Film School folks are in there as well. So, yeah, it's fun stuff. Thanks, Armin. Use Spree. What's going on, Use Spree? This stretch has been the best version of McCall, Hart, and Deuce we've seen as Knicks. Kolek and Yabu showing a little something more each game, too. I co-sign all of that, Use Spree. I think it's been extraordinarily encouraging. Here's the thing. You want to know the best news about the Knicks after 19 games? The best news about the Knicks after 19 games is they have a $53 million player on their roster who made All-NBA third team and was very close to making All-NBA second team last year. He has had the worst start to the season from an individual standpoint that anyone could have possibly imagined in their wildest dreams. And on top of that, the Knicks' best defender, and certainly their most important defender, has missed the last 7 games. I think I got that right. Yeah. Has missed the last 7 games. And despite that fact, the Knicks are second in the conference. And they're 2.5 games back first. That must mean that a lot of other guys are doing good stuff. And I think the 5 you mentioned here, reason to be positive about all of them. Thanks, Shrewsbury. Drew P with another one. Also, Mitch's slump was 3 games, but it was 12 days. Oh, yeah, because he was out for a little while. That's right. Yeah. Well, whatever. He's back. Should we check in on the all-time or the race for the all-time offensive rebound rate? Let's see here. Offensive rebound rate. It's at 23.1% right now. Steven Adams is making a push. 21.9%. Both of those would blow away the previous all-time record, to be clear. But yeah, those guys are neck and neck. I'm sure it's gonna be a fun race to look at all year. And Clint Capella also on Houston, 19.5%. Not to be forgotten about. Thanks, Drew. Poe 4463. 38 to 40% 3-point percentage for Hart equals an all-star caliber player. I mean, like, look at what he's done. Here, just look, Josh Hart. Let's do last 4 games. Let's do per 36 minutes because for some reason the traditional stats have not updated yet. I have no idea why. Josh Hart per 36 minutes, last 4 games. Let's see that's team stats. Sorry, I'm on a roll tonight. You're almost there. We got it. Let's see. Are these all-star numbers? You be the judge. He is averaging per 36 minutes 16.7 points, 11.6 rebounds, 6.9 assists, 2.5 turnovers, 2.7 steals, half a block. He has played 146 minutes. He's shooting 53.3% from the field, 45% from 3 on 5 attempts per 36 minutes. Again, this is all per 36. And the Knicks in that time are a plus 18.7. I think that's plus 8 or 18.7 per 36. But even if it's plus 18.7 per like 100 possessions, whatever it is, that's still fucking awesome. Which is the best of any rotation player on the team. Yeah, it sounds like an all-star to me. Sure. Good comment. Jessica, what's going on, Jess? How are you? What a fun game. Fire second half. Josh Hart shooter. LOL. Okay. I love it. Put all IQ prancing to an end for the night. I love this new coach. This new coach's approach. Let's go Knicks. There's a lot to like right now. I mean, they've won 4 in a row. I hope it can keep going. I'm a little worried about that game in Boston. Again, Boston, the Celtics, they're doing things a little bit differently down there. But they have the 4th best offense in basketball. They have a top 10 net rating, barely, but they have a top 10 net rating. And they still shoot a million threes. Are they leading the league in 3-point attempts per game? They're 3rd. Knicks are down to 5th, which is actually pretty high considering the Knicks have not shot a lot of threes recently. But yeah, Celtics 43 threes per game. They're making them at a decent clip. So yeah, Celtics they're a real team. It's gonna be a tough game. Thanks, Jess. Jason M. How you doing, Jason? I'm really enjoying watching Kolek. #player development. Let's keep it going. Obviously who we have to give all the credit to, Jason. We have to give all the credit to Tom Thibodeau. Tom Thibodeau sat him on the bench last year, let a fire under his ass. This is all Tibbs doing. All Tibbs. 100%. Thanks, Jason. Dan Hidalgo. What's going on, Dan? Not to minimize the process, but 13-6, the Knicks are right where they need to be. We've been living for the regular season for so long. There will be nights where we care more about the score than the team does. I don't know how anybody could be unhappy with. I mean, that's a lie. People could always be unhappy. It's really tough for me to be unhappy with where the Knicks are, considering, again, they have lost 3 games this month. And the 3 games that they lost were the 2 games against Orlando, one where they really just could not hit anything. And then the other game that was a much closer game in the 4th quarter than I think we remember, and was not as bad as it felt in the moment. And then they lost at Miami, that crazy Miami game where they didn't have Jalen Brunson, and it came down to the last possession. And I felt actually kind of positive coming out of that loss. So, do they have a ton of quality wins? I think tonight, I would define tonight as a quality win, given the Raptors record. I thought the Bucks win with Giannis was a quality win. I certainly thought the win over Miami without Brunson was a quality win. I think the win over Minnesota was a quality win. And I know it seems silly right now because they can't get out of their own way now, but I thought the win over the Bulls at the beginning of the month was a quality win. To say nothing of the first 2 wins that they started the season with, over Cleveland and over Boston. So, yeah, like, have they been blown out once? Other than the Orlando game, which they lost by 17 points, every loss has been by 12 or less, and a couple of them have been really close. A lot to like. Thanks, Dan. Kevin Danishevsky with another one. I want to see some JB, Deuce, Hart, McCall, OG lineups soon. I am assuming that lineup has not played at all this season. I wouldn't mind seeing it. I mean, look, if Brown's going to go to Yabu at the 5, clearly he's okay going with OG at the 5. I mean, we've seen a little bit of OG at the 5. It's just, what are the circumstances that make sense? Like I'm not disagreeing with anything you're saying, because I'd like to see it too. I'd just be curious this is a question I'd have for Mike Brown. What would be the sort of situation or lineup? Because we knew what it was with Tibbs. Tibbs would only go 5 out without a true center if the team was down by 1 million points with like 4 minutes left. I think Brown would be a little bit more willing to go to this, other than in just that situation. But like, what specifically would he ever go to it with a traditional 5 on the floor for the other team? Would be a question that I would have. But yeah, I wouldn't mind seeing it. Sure, why not? Good stuff. Good comment to end on. All right, we're done. We're out of here. I will be back on Tuesday after the Boston game. So look forward to that. Just quick note, that's an 8 p.m. start, and I am so we're going to be starting the post game a little bit later than usual on Tuesday night. We will probably kick things off shortly after 11 o'clock. So if we don't start the post game right away, that is why. But we do have a post game on Tuesday. I will be on the post game. Just be a little bit patient because we're not going to start that one right away after the final buzzer. Be sure to follow us on all of your social channels at Knicks Film School. All the bonus content you could possibly want or need can be found at the Knicks Film School Patreon, where Benji and DJ have been killing it. You could subscribe, of course, to my newsletter at Substack. And the best thing of all that you could do to help support the show is just follow us where you get your pods, subscribe on YouTube, put those notifications on. And then if you're kind enough to take an extra minute and write a review or leave a 5-star rating, that stuff really helps us out as well. Me and Jeremy recording tomorrow. What am I forgetting? I think that's it. Thanks, everybody, for watching. We'll talk to you soon. Peace out.
Must be 21 or older. Gambling problem? Call 1-800-GAMBLER. Connecticut, call 888-789-7777. Massachusetts, call 800-327-5050. New York, call 877-8-HOPE-NY. Maryland, visit mdgamblinghelp.org. Not available in all states. Terms apply. See the Fanatics Sportsbook app.